Love it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Step Into Love podcast. Today's topic is all about calling in clarity, and I'm joined by a lovely guest, a co-writer on Substack. Her name is Liisa Kovala. She's a Finnish Canadian author, certified fiction and memoir book coach, and a podcast host. Like Water for Weary Souls is her second historical novel. Her debut historical novel, Sisu's Winter War, was released by Latitude 46 Publishing in 2022. And Surviving Stutthof, My Father's Memories Behind the Death Gate, in 2017, was translated and published by Descendo in Finland and shortlisted for Northern Lit Award. So Liisa and I are going to be talking about her work, her writing, clarity points along her trajectory of her career. We're going to learn about her books and her mission, and then also how she receives clarity, especially at this pivotal time as we, finish off, round out 2025, and we're looking towards the new year of 2026 and setting ourselves up for success for clarity in 2026. That's what my publication is all about these last few months. And so you can also connect with and find Liisa on her Substack, which is lisakovalawomenwriting.substack.com. Liisa, thank you so much for being here to chat with me today.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So, my first question is our starting off point, a really important question, big question. You can answer it however you like. What is your mission? How would you define your work? And how did you come to it? Especially, I'm interested in hearing those like clarity points and turning points because I know our audience can learn a lot from those sorts of things.
Yeah, 100%. My mission is to help women writers specifically find their Sisu. So Sisu is a Finnish concept that is an ancient concept that really, I think, drives the Finnish psyche. So I'm Finnish Canadian. My parents were Finnish. And I really grew up in a time when there were a lot of Finnish people around me, cultural activities. And Sisu was one of those concepts I just grew up with understanding, but I soon realized not everyone understands what that means. So it is courage, strength, determination, and some people will say grit, but actually it even goes beyond that. It's an idea that even when things don't look like they can work out, even though everything seems hopeless, that you push through and keep going. So that can be applied to all aspects of our life during the times we live in. I think we all need a Sisu, but as writers in particular, we have a lot of demands on us, especially women. We have maybe we're raising children, or we have older family members that we're taking care of. We're working and we're trying to write, and it just everything seems like a lot. So Sisu is one of those drivers that I access when I'm feeling kind of overloaded, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but I know that in the long run, I'm going to be happy I did. And I just pushed through. So I think there have been a lot of clarity moments over my life. I was a full-time teacher for many decades. I had young children. I was writing a book. I started writing when I was, I've been a writer my whole life, but when I was 40, my dad agreed to tell me his story about being in a concentration camp. And so I realized, oh, this is the time I need to write his story. And through him, I learned so much about this Finnish concept of Sisu, because, of course, to survive any of those kinds of really terrible circumstances, you need that. So it's kind of been one of those lightning bolt moments for me that Sisu is something we all have it internally. It's not like only Finnish people who have the Sisu. We all have it. It's just Finns claim it and have named it. And but we can all kind of look inside ourselves and find that inner strength at those times when we need it most. So for writers, it's a really great tool. But for us as everyday moments in our lives when things are going not so well, it can be really, really powerful to know that you have that in yourself to just keep going forward.
I love that. That's a beautiful description. So you said Sisu is like grit and combined with what again?
Like courage, determination, resiliency. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of words that circle around it, but it really is deeper than that. It's not enough to just be persistent. It's like it's this inner feeling that you have that I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, even though it feels really helpless, or you feel rejected, or you feel like there's obstacles in front of you. So um, I think writers need to know that, because I think we have so many stumbling blocks that come across us that we, for instance, you can get derailed if you have a writing schedule and then somebody gets sick, or you get sick, or something else happens in your life. You can't meet your word count or whatever the benchmarks you have, and that can really derail a writer. My thought is, don't use those benchmarks as the thought that this is success.
Mhm.
Instead, think about, like, okay, the longer term vision of this. So you might veer off the path, but you can come back around to it. When you look back at what you've done, you can really celebrate what you've gone through, and where you've landed. But in the moment, it feels like, oh, I didn't write today. So, oh no, we can really get down on ourselves for these things. But I think we have to look a little bit longer term and just keep pushing through, because in the long run, we will succeed. We will get there. We're going to finish our projects. It might take longer than we expected, or life happens, but we can absolutely get there.
But I love that. And I'm glad I learned a new vocab word today. I'd never heard of it, but it sounds like you're saying like kind of this survival instinct and inner drive and intrinsic motivation and resilience. And I think that it is so important to be guided by like our strong morals, beliefs, those inner compass, North Star visions and goals. So
Yes.
is this a primary way that you have like found and received clarity is Sisu like your main driving I guess moral or like theme of your publication? And do you have other ones too that or is Sisu like the main one that you find that you always rely on or lean back on?
Absolutely, I do. Even in my own writing, in all of my novels and my book about my father, and even the cozy mystery series I'm working on right now, all of them center around strong characters who need to find that strength within them. So the beginning of a story, often the character is just like, there's going to be a transformational change of some sort in the book. And for me, it's always that character finding their way and being able to access that inner strength to be able to overcome whatever the problem is. So I'm seeing that over and over in my own writing. And when I'm interviewing folks on for women writing for the feature, or I'm interviewing them for the Women Writing podcast, I'm also interested in, how do women approach writing? How do they make it happen in their day-to-day life? I remember being a young person and like feeling like I wasn't a real writer, whatever that is, because I didn't write every day. And then as a mom with young children and working full time, I still, couldn't find a way to do that every day. And so it took a while until I realized, oh no, I'm still writing and getting things done. I'm just finding my own path. I'm finding my own way to do it. I'm carving out moments here and there, and being really, like, persistent, and being finding, I think it's a little bit of courage that writers need too, to just say, okay, no, I am doing this, and putting it out there in the world that you're doing this, like letting your family know. And okay, and they kind of saw me going off to a coffee shop on a Sunday afternoon because that's the time I had available. So yeah, I'm really interested in how other women are finding their way to writing, and how they're getting their work completed, and where they write and when they write, and how those patterns change over the years. Like every time, space in your life is different, right? You might have young people in your family, and then now I'm an empty nester, so that's a whole other thing, right? So
Yeah.
you have different times in your life when you have different kinds of challenges, and what worked for you when you're in your 20s or in your 40s is not going to be the same thing as when you're in your 50s. It's just your body changes, your energy level changes, the demands on you are different. And so those old I must write every day, or this many words a day, or whatever benchmarks you have, don't necessarily work anymore. But Sisu is always there. You can always access it and go, okay, how can I make this happen? And how can I persist? And how can I adapt and change and alter what I'm doing to make it work for me? And so I've really relied on it, I think, my whole life. And maybe even when I was young, I didn't really realize that's what I was doing, but I had intuitively learned it from the people around me
Mm.
and family members and the stories I was being told. So yeah, it's still a fascinating topic to me.
That's so powerful. I love that. Well, I'd love to hear about those seasons more specifically, like you were saying, being an educator, being a mom, being a writer. And like you said, every season kind of requires some flexibility and pivoting or shifting, but still having the same goals through that and like finding and making the time for the writing in those seasons. So I'd love to hear, I guess my main question is with Sisu and the strength and your drive to write being a through line, how did your how did it come up for you when you were an educator? Did you just feel this strong pull, like I need to change something, and then you pivoted out of that career? Um, yeah, I'd love to hear about the writing and also impact that you've had on other people by sharing Sisu with them, like with your readers. So when you get to the books and the impact that sharing this message has had, I'd love to hear more about that.
I love that question so much. It makes me really reflect on my own life over the years because, like I say, I was writing from a really young age. And as a lot of writers do, they write stories when they're kids and poetry and all the things. And I was writing a lot. And I ended up studying English at university. And then I had that crossroads, right? I could, like, and a lot of people said, well, what are you going to do with an English degree? Are you going to be a teacher? And I would say, no, no. And then when the time came, it was sort of a decision between a master's degree in English and teaching. And I was a little nervous to do the master's. I kind of felt like I wanted to, but I was nervous, I think. And so I went into teaching. And I don't regret that. I was a teacher. I for 8 years I taught elementary school, and then for the rest of my career I taught high school English and creative writing and AP research. And I really did love it. I love the students.
A wonderful way to give back. I just want to
Yeah,
jump in. Teaching
thank
is
you.
so important, and I love that
Yeah.
you did. I've done some of it too. Keep going.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely interactions with other coworkers and students. And I just really did learn so much in those years. And I just, I'm still in contact with a lot of students who have gone on to be professional, this, that, and the other thing. And, it's been so fun. But there's, like I say, there was a point where life took over and I had young kids and I was teaching full time. And I was always thinking about stories, always. I'd be in the car driving and I'd be thinking about storylines, but I wasn't yet writing that much. And then I was teaching creative writing for the first time. And boy, those students inspired me. That first group of students inspired me so much because they just loved to write. And I just recognized myself in them as a young person. Like when I was their age, I just loved to write. And I thought, why am I not doing this? Like, this is like a joy for me. And I love reading their work and I love writing beside them. So I started dabbling then. And then I had that moment where my mom actually called me and said, somebody wants to write your dad's book, but I told them my daughter's going to do that.
That's awesome.
The time has come. So that's how that started. And I thought, okay, if we're going to do this, I'm going to go and do a creative writing certificate at University of Toronto. I'm going to I teach creative writing, but I also felt like writing a book is different. You need to build up your skills. You need to learn craft. You need to get instruction and feedback. So I did those things. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you kind of knew that from as a child, but it took many, many years before I leaned into that. So that first book was published, first self-published in 2015, and then published by a publisher in 2017. And it was just like sort of eye-opening, and I was learning a lot about the publishing industry. And then Then there was the pandemic and we were all teaching online. It was its own thing. And then after that, I had a year of teaching where I felt like, this is such a lovely year. I had great students. It was so beautiful after having like really strict expectations during COVID. And coming out of that, I just had a great year. And um, I just decided in early or mid-May, I thought, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. Like I had such a great year and I want to end it there. So I retired at the end of the year, and that was in 2022. So I left teaching 5 years earlier than I was supposed to, I guess, like proper retirement. So I took early retirement and just pivoted completely. So it was like you talk about clarity, like it was just this moment. We were actually on a walk in the neighborhood, and my husband said, I think you're done. And I said, I think I am too. And I literally filled out my paperwork and had it in that the next day. And so it wasn't like, I wasn't like thinking about it for months and months. I just made a decision, like it just felt right. And since then, I became a author accelerator certified book coach. So I can help other authors on their journey. And I've been writing and connecting on the podcast. And I have a women writing circle. So we meet bi-weekly to write for 90 minutes together. And it's just been so fun. It's a lot of work, like I'm not gonna lie. Teaching is a lot of work. This working for yourself, being a business owner is a lot of work, but it's also filled with joy. And like you were saying, the impact you have on other people. And you can see their transformation as they're working on their projects, as you're working with them, or even just having time to write together and they just feel really buoyed up by working with other folks. Like we had a meeting last night where we had 90 minutes. We just goal setting and we wrote and just checked in with each other. And, I think probably a lot of us wouldn't have been writing at that time in the evening had it not been for the group. I think like I would have probably been watching Netflix, let's be honest. But when you have people who are willing to come together, then you all help each other move forward. And that's been the delightful thing about this new pivot in my career is connecting with so many beautiful writers at various stages in their journey and helping them in any way I can and seeing their growth and just enjoying that same feeling I had too of just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like you just know it's sort of innate in you.
Yeah. Okay, that's so lovely. Thank you for that answer. And I'm so glad that I found you on Substack and we met and are having this conversation because this is so great. And I love what you said about community. And I really believe it is like a creative vortex when people step into that space together of creating together. That's so wonderful. And you started talking about receiving clarity. So my last question, and I would love to wrap up on this sort of topic, is how, I mean, because you're creative as well, there's probably so many ways, but do you find that how do you receive clarity? For my audience to tell them some tips on how you receive clarity. Um, does it come out through the writing, comes out on walks, comes out in conversations? I know for me it comes in that and many more places, but I'd love to hear from you in general, the ways that you think you receive clarity and the important distinction that I've made on my publication is it's not about like finding, searching for
Yeah.
clarity too much. It's often asking the question and then opening to receive the answer.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. I
Yeah.
really believe that. So I think you're right. There's so many ways. I'm a real believer in walking for writers.
Yeah.
Yes, for health, of course. Yes, for the effect it has on our mental health. Absolutely. It's a great place to problem solve if you have a story problem and it'll just go. But even more than that, it's the stillness, it's listening to nature, it's hearing the leaves rustling, it's birds chirping. It's just like you can almost be a little bit blank and just taking in colors and scents. And that to me is often a time when clarity comes because, like you say, you're not seeking it, you're experiencing the world and it floods you. And a friend of mine calls it downloading.
Yeah,
And I kind of like that. Like things just all of a sudden go, "Da, da, da, da," and you're like, oh, okay. And things that your brain is always like, it's fantastic. It's always working on problems in the background. You don't have to force it. It will work it out while you're doing other things. So you kind of
totally.
have to just relax into it. I think meditation's great as well. Just sitting still. I'm not a really great meditator in the sense of, you know, being look, it's hard to quiet my mind, but I do like a couple of minutes of stillness. And the other thing for me, and I think everyone has different environments that this works for, but I've always been drawn to water, always since I was a kid, and just sitting and being near water and just letting like it flows and you just your mind just does the same and relaxes. And I think that's when the best clarity comes is when you're completely relaxed and you just let go of all the issues and the problems and the thoughts and the running to-do list and all the things and it comes to you. I'm also a believer in asking like being grateful, having gratitude for the things in your life, and then putting it out in the universe what you need. Like if you say it out loud, then it happens. And I'm always surprised how the universe kind of comes together to help you when you need it. Right? Like it's not like going to ask somebody in particular, but you're like, thinking about, okay, I really need this this kind of understanding about something. And all of a sudden I'll get an email from somebody, oh, I was thinking about da da da. Have you heard about this thing? Or some TV show will I'll just come across and I'll be, oh, there's a documentary on that. Like, how is it coming to me when I have, I'm not searching for it. It kind of is just synchronous, I guess.
Mhm.
Serendipity, maybe. I don't know. But I really think there's some magic that happens when we're open to receiving it. And so there's lots of ways to do that, including walking and sitting and being quiet and still. And I think writers sometimes are got to do the next thing, got to do the next thing. There's always a to-do list. But sometimes just being still is really, really important for us.
Totally. I like to say that it's this, you're walking a line or like it's a balance, a cycle, a flow of resting and receiving and then action,
Yeah.
rest, receive, action,
Yes.
two different steps. And I love your answer, everything that you said. And I definitely resonate with the water. And there's so much science to support that, like being near water, seeing the sky, being under trees, our brains literally change in those places. And I also love that you said the download or downloading because that is such a term. And my coach, Sarah Cannell, is writing and publishing her book. Her next book is called The Download. And so we've been
Yeah.
talking about like the different brain states and how you get into the gamma zone, the miracle zone, and download information and receive clarity. So it's something I'm very passionate about as well. And like you said, I'm just so grateful to meet, like-minded people online and connect with you because I do believe that when we're like living in alignment and acting in faith and taking those aligned actions, the synchronicities do happen, things line up, and those are all signs that you are living in alignment and you're, living your purpose. So
Love that
thank
so
you so much.
much.
Yeah.
No, well, thank you because it's just delightful to hear about what you're doing and what you're passionate about because it just feels like it's just resonating with me so much. And I think that's really beautiful. And that's probably why we met on Substack.
Definitely. I know. I'm so happy we can collaborate more. This is so wonderful. But yes, my whole movement, my mission is teaching people embodiment practices to step into love. I'm starting a secondary Substack soon for young women specifically. It's going to be called Dearest Young Lady. And so I'm so passionate about teaching younger people, or at any stage of life, but especially those who maybe are caught up in like confusion, self-hatred, self-doubt, and just showing people how to move out of those states because I dealt with that a lot. But then I learned all these tools to step out of that and back into alignment. So, the mind is so powerful, but also physical embodiment practices, like you said, getting out in nature, writing, and taking action. Like I'm like about sharing all of it because I'm like, if
Excellent.
something's not working, try something else. On to the next thing, keep
Yes.
going until it works.
That's Sisu. That's Sisu in
I love
action.
that. I love that. Well, that's perfect. Perfect, complete, full circle. Thank you so much, Lisa. This was a
Oh,
wonderful conversation. I'm excited to share it.
thank you so much. This was delightful. I really loved it.